All right. And we're live. What's going on? How are you, my
Back in
friend?
action. Another week
Yes,
down.
another week down. They just keep dropping like flies. Um, you know, we've talked a lot about I don't like leaving the house. If I do leave the house, I feel like you should be prepared for anything or prepared for the worst. When it happens, you'll
Hmm.
be sorry that you weren't at least prepared. Doesn't mean you're gonna fight off the worst thing that happens. Um, the house is fortified. I'm happy at home. I'm safe and happy at home. Just put in some extra security measures. But
Nice.
this morning, this just happened. This is breaking news as we come on the air today. This morning, I walk outside with my dog. It's very cold out. It's really windy. It was in the 30s, I think.
Yeah, it got
And
cold again last night, real quick.
yeah, real quick. And we're walking. We make it to like a block, maybe a couple hundred yards. And all of a sudden, a giant black dog comes charging at us. And I swear to you, all time stopped. It's me and my dog is a pit bull, half pit bull, but she's going to be 14. She's got
Hmm.
arthritis. She's got some fight in her, but this dog was big and looked like he was like only a couple years old and would tear both of us up. And I'm they're like time freezes. And the first thing I think of is like I've been yelling at people and telling people to carry weapons on their walk, and I got
Non-lethal
nothing.
weapons.
Non-lethal weapons, I got nothing. I got a pair of keys and like a credit card. Like, so the dog comes at me, and like my dog wants to like go. Like my dog has never encountered a violent dog ever. There's
Hmm.
been some unfriendly ones occasionally, but 99% of the time. So my dog is not looking to fight, but this dog is coming straight for us. So I kind of got in between them. Because the other thing is, when a dog is off leash and your dog is on leash, that's a weird dynamic.
It
The
is.
dogs do not like that. So I'm like, hey, calm down, calm down. And the dog kind of backed up, and I could tell as it got closer, I could tell it wasn't gonna be. It was kind of like it was kind of this big dopey dog. I could tell it had that like energy, like the
Big,
big.
big bark, but yeah,
Right. And
maybe
just
more
was
of
kind of
a
like bouncing, like kind of like hopping around, it was running back and forth and it came over. So I let my dog sniff it and they sniffed, but the other dog was a little like a little skittish. So
mm.
I pulled my dog away. They had their noses against each other, but the other dog kind of had its ears back and was unsure of my dog. So okay. I just wanted them to smell each other so that if the dog came by, it's just better for them to have that interaction. So I can't catch this dog. The dog's huge. There's no like it
And
won't
there's
let me.
nobody else in sight, I take it, right? Like you're
No,
not, you don't know where this dog came from, who the owner is.
no.
Okay.
So after the immediate shock wears off that there's like this dog, and like I thought I was gonna have to fight the dog. After that wears off, I remember a day or two ago driving and seeing this dog and people trying to catch this dog
Ugh.
just around the corner, which makes me insane. I've
Yeah,
had my dog for 14 years. Like I don't think like she never gets out, like never.
right.
It's just not a situation where the dog can get loose, and it happens. And especially this dog. The dog's going in the street, so I'm like after it. A car was coming. I'd let the car
Right. You
know this
gotta,
dog is in the
yeah.
street. Now I'm tied to this dog. I can't go anywhere until this dog makes it
Right.
home.
You're gonna feel guilty for life if something
Right.
happens
I
now.
can't do anything. So I'm like, hey, come. And the dog is just looking at me like, duh, duh, duh. It's like sticking its head in garbages. Just a stupid dog. And as we're walking, I see it's got like the square thing around its neck, and I know that's the invisible fence, like
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
transmitter.
Yeah. Yep.
And the house we're in front of there's like a big sign on the tree that says invisible fence. I'm like, well, it's not exactly a good commercial for the
Yeah.
invisible
Can't
fence.
can't can't be too far from home.
Right, but this is not a good commercial. This dog's
No, they
anywhere but inside the fence. And when
jailbreak.
you're a crazy dog like that, a young dog, all that thing is it just buzzes you. All you, it's just like a momentary like they'd run right through that. Like some
Right.
dogs don't care. They don't care. So it's just dangerous. So finally, so all of a sudden I hear somebody calling out for the dog. I look over, some guys walk in the front lawn of the invisible fence house. I say, she's over here. So this poor guy, he's probably in his maybe his early 60s. He's not a big guy. This dog is huge, and he's got no leash. He walks over and he grabs the dog by
Tries to
the
grab.
collar,
Oh
and this
boy.
dog is just like tossing him around. And they get closer, and the wife is now out. The wife's like, "Ah, you want another one?" I said, "No, I'm good. I'm good." You know, that old. And all of a sudden, the dog just tosses the guy. The guy
Oh.
like almost he does like almost like a somersault, and he gets up, his back is all hit. I said, "Do you want my leash? I'll give you my leash. I can hold my dog. Just take the leash and get the dog out of here." No, no. So the both of them grabbed the dog, and and then they went into a fence. So I don't know why they have an invisible fence, because they have a fence.
Right.
So
Well, clearly neither one is working right now.
nothing is working. Maybe it's in the front. I don't know. These invisible fences, I would never trust my dog outside in an invisible fence without me being there. I just
Some type of
wouldn't.
supervision. Yeah.
I just wouldn't. I don't know. I just wouldn't. So so that was the crazy dog thing. And I'm like, man, that could have, if that dog was violent, I'm like a sitting duck. So it was a warning to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, take your own advice, you nudnik. Listen to your own advice. So so I will be prepared tomorrow in case, and obviously I wouldn't have needed anything for this dog, but if that dog was violent, I would have been, there would have been
Yeah, it would have ended
problems.
a lot differently, that's for sure.
Right. So, and then the other thing is, I'm driving my daughter home from daycare earlier at the end of the day. We're driving home and we're on a busy street, and I see a guy, I see a white dog, like a, not a poodle, but a kind of like a Shih Tzu. It's like a little white dog with like the pointy ears. You know what I'm talking about? The
Okay.
rabbit. Um, and it's off the leash. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. And then I see there's a guy walking behind it, like 10 feet behind it, with the leash on his shoulder. And
Okay.
I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, we need to like posture. Like, just, you're walking the dog, just put it on a leash. It is so stupid, because there's cars flying by. If for some reason that dog sees a squirrel or something, and the dog was not like
Anything.
walking in a line, it was like walking in big circles. And I know,
Mm.
listen, there's dogs that are, you can keep very well controlled, but
Right.
this dog, anything, or if there's another dog, or if another dog is off leash, or if there's an animal, a deer, a bear, like, what, for what purpose do you, it's just a time bomb waiting to go off. And it makes me mad. It's like we can't even follow these stupid rules. And I don't even know what the rule is. There are some towns where like the ordinance is, as long as the dog is under your control, because these are towns run by
Right.
idiots who want to be able to,
Have toy dogs and
right, have toy dogs that they don't need to leash, and machine guns and whatever, because this is the land of the free. Well, I think that's stupid. I don't care what the law is. You should not be walking your dog without a leash on a street. Listen, if you're in a
there's
park,
a
or,
time and a place. Time and a place.
I don't even think so. I think that dog should be on a leash at all times, unless it's in your backyard. It should be in, when you know that there's no animals around, no other dogs around. It should be in your back. I had enough with people. So I look at this guy. I'm like, he's really like posturing with like a Shih Tzu. Like he's tough dog owner. So anyway, I had a rough day with the dogs, and then the final thing that somebody posted the four greatest soups or whatever. I'm not a big soup person. It's just, it's a lot of sodium for me.
It's a
Uh,
lot of sodium
a
unless you
lot
make
of
it yourself.
sodium.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
crazy.
number one soup that this person posted, this person is a, I could tell, as a terrible human being. The number one soup, you'll get, never get, I'll give you see if you can guess what the number one soup that this person wrote.
I mean, was there a theme behind this or just soup?
No, just the best
Just
soups.
soup.
The best soups. Guess what the number one soup is. You'll guess.
It's probably some commercial branded,
Guess. It's not even a thing that I think of when I think of soup.
Oh,
Just
really? So
guess.
like something like Chef Boyardee, like
No,
something
no,
like
it's a
that?
kind of soup. It's a
Okay.
kind, not a brand. It's I don't even know. I don't There's some people that don't deserve to live on this planet. I think they should all the people involved with the dogs in this soup should all be first in line to go to Mars on Elon Musk's rocket
Let
ship.
let them off the planet first.
Take a
Clearly,
guess. Guess a soup.
let's go like cheddar and broccoli.
No, that would be acceptable. Nope, it's a tomato soup.
Like
Listen,
just
the
the most
tomato
basic like red
well,
tomato soup.
is that even a soup the tomato is can be used in many delicious ways, don't get me wrong.
Yes, yes.
Soup is not one of them. That is eating marinara sauce. That's just a bowl of marinara sauce without pasta. That
It's a
is like
very acidic bowl of
that's like
fluid.
that's like saying, oh, let's make some teriyaki soup, and you're just gonna eat a bowl of
Ooh,
teriyaki.
that's about the
it
same salt
it
content.
Yeah, it's insane. That's not a soup. That's not a soup. It's tomato sauce.
That's what, some people use it for dipping their grilled cheese, like,
Right.
and
I
I
mean,
would say
okay.
at that point it's no longer a
It's
soup.
a it's a
It's a
dip.
dip.
It's a dip. It's a dipping sauce. It's not a soup. I got it. It's like I got it. Like, is there anyone on this planet other than us that has common sense? It makes me insane. It makes me insane. And and listen, I didn't know much about food growing up. I had a very limited. My mom is a great cook, but I was um very limited in the dishes that she made.
Like
She
a
just
short menu. She was good cook, but
it
short
was a
menu.
short menu.
Yep.
It was one side of the menu I could choose from, and I never had a choice. And I remember she used to make um she still does. She makes these unbelievable chicken cutlets, breaded chicken cutlets, and
Hmm.
they're so good. They're so good. And she make pasta and the pasta would be so good. And but I remember, I swear to God, you're gonna think this is so insane. One day I remember I said, you should mix the chicken in with the pasta. That would be really good. And I can just hear her, nah, what are you crazy? And I thought that I had invented
You're a
chicken.
five-star chef right there.
I thought that I had invented it. And I remember going to like Chili's or someplace and they had the Cajun chicken pasta, and I was so devastated.
All right.
Like I had
Someone
never even
stole
had
your
they
idea.
stole my ideas. What I'm like, I came up with this like 15 years ago and nobody would implement it. I was so angry.
Oh, you
Uh,
missed your calling. You were a child chef genius.
right. I really was. I really was. So anyway, I thought they stole my idea. I never and even chicken parm.
Have you
Like I
not been
never
back to Chile since?
wait I have a long history with Chili's. Don't let's not I was you're now you're egging me on.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
I have to tell you this. The greatest thing that ever happened there. One of the greatest things is I was working in the kitchen at a Chili's,
Oh
and
boy.
I worked there in college, and some guy comes in and he says, listen, I need to trying to make up with this girl, and she's very angry with me. And he had like 2 dozen roses, and he said, can you guys just walk by and one by one drop a rose off at the table? Which is just so weird.
Feels like a
And
funeral, first off.
you're right, you're right. This is not imagine the roles are reversed. Doesn't even matter. Imagine you go out with a girl and you're mad at her and you don't want to kind of get back together with her, and people just start like random
Strangers.
waiters,
Yeah, just random people.
like the kitchen crew, like all they were all like sweaty, just coming by, everybody. And I remember there were so many roses. I went by like 4 times to drop a rose off, and we would walk by, we'd kind of be like kind of giggling a little bit, and she like stormed out of there. She was not, it didn't work. I don't even think we finished putting the roses on. And it was just the greatest. That was just one of the greatest. So weird.
Very
There would be a
random.
guy who would come every Saturday night, and he would complain about his meal every Saturday night to get it comped.
He wants a free meal. Yeah.
every
I
Saturday
love the
night.
regulars. I love
The
them.
same guy. And you would not believe there was more proposals at Chili's than I care to even remember. But it definitely happened, and it happened more than once. Proposals, marriage proposals at
It's a thing.
Chili's.
It's a thing.
Crazy. Anyway, that's what's going on. That is the world that we live in. It's kind of frustrating. This is why I don't leave the house. I can't handle it. I don't leave the house, and I'm certainly not going to Chili's if I do leave the house. So,
You might need a
but
lethal weapon there.
right. But come to think of it, I just read about Mitch McConnell. Mitch
Yep.
McConnell?
Yep. The senator.
His sister-in-law, his sister-in-law, his sister-in-law, some relative, I believe it is sister-in-law, who was a billionaire. Made me think of it because um as we said, I just mentioned, I don't like leaving the house. I take the dog out, but I basically sit in one room and let dust collect on myself. I don't even move that much, which is a problem I'm dealing with. But she's a billionaire, and terrible story. I think we talked, for some reason, I think we talked about it for a minute before, but she was at a party, I guess had been drinking, and she backed her car up. She was doing a K turn, and instead of hitting the brake, she hit the gas, and she went flying into like some sort of body of water, a lake or
Mm.
something. And as she was sinking, called her friend to call for help, and they like came out and tried. They called the cops, but this was like a remote, I think it was like a
Right. It sounded
Texas
like this is a
ranch.
pretty big Texas ranch.
Yeah, and by the time the cops got there, that was it. She had passed away because the car had been submerged.
It's a
And
terrible, terrible fluke of an accident.
it's terrible, so terrible. And I can't even imagine. But I'm like, I always think about this when like really rich people die, like billionaires, and they don't die of old age. I'm like, if I had $1 billion, like I would be sealed in a
You'd be in
steel
a
room.
fortified, yeah,
Right.
you
If I had $1 billion, like I'm never leaving the house without a suit of armor, and like that's I'm driving around in a tank because a
someone
billion
someone will
dollars.
always be shadowing you because you can
Right.
afford to pay them.
Right. For $1 billion, you can't let that stuff happen. You need to live a long life so you
I
can
mean, yeah, it's pretty
spend all of
sad.
that money. I mean, it's terrible. But I always think about that when somebody really rich like that. I'm like, man, you just gotta be like the most important. Like I'm not that rich, and that's the most important thing. If I could
A
drive
number
around in a
one.
tank, but so yeah, I keep
It's pretty
pushing that.
bad.
It's
It's
terrible.
unfortunate that she wasn't able to open some windows either before
And
sinking or break the window or yeah,
yeah,
it's
and they
sad.
have a whole protocol for that. I mean, first of all, I mean, obviously she was I think she'd been drinking and she was very close to a
Doesn't help the
lake.
situation.
So, but you hear this does not happen. This happens more than you might think. People drive into bodies of water, especially if they're
It
not
does.
familiar with the area. So, you should really have like they have a thing that you can use to break the window
Yeah.
open, and then
You have one? I think I've got
I
technically two. I got one as a gift and the other one
it's
I had purchased.
it's on my to-do list. Like having weapons for the walk, it's on my to-do list. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't drive anywhere. Like I'm nowhere near a lake, so um, but yeah, if I went, I would have it. And then you've got to learn what to do because it's not like you just break that window.
Right.
As soon as you break that window, that water
Oh,
is
it's coming in fast, hot and heavy.
right.
Yeah, you bet
So
your seatbelt better be undone. Yeah, in fact, a lot of these tools have a seatbelt cutter built in.
okay,
So
right, because that
you'd
could
want to
get
cut that if you can't get out of your seatbelt, and
and
then
then and
there's
then
usually
yeah,
a device on the end to break that glass.
right. And if there's other people in the car, like there's a lot to coordinate.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think you should be ready for that. I think you should be prepared. You should know at least
I
how to handle
listen,
that.
that's a good life tip right there. Is those devices are not that expensive, and it's great
No,
as a gift, especially around the
right.
holidays.
They should come.
Stash it away in the center
Yeah.
console, man. You never know.
they should come, and you should keep a lot of stuff. I mean, you should have a lot of stuff in the car, like some, I have an emergency kit, that I got for Christmas that I haven't put in the car, but I haven't gone any. If I went somewhere far, I
That's
would
because
put it in the
you're not
car.
going anywhere. Yeah, exactly.
I am the most prepared person, but I don't actually implement the thing. But um, which my unsolicited life tip is going to clear all that up for me and for everyone listening. But yeah, I think you should be prepared in the car. You should have a
We should
whole.
probably yeah, we should probably have an episode where we talk about some of that stuff because I'd be curious to see what's in your kit. A lot of people say I have a lot of stuff in my car.
Yeah, you've got a good kit.
I mean, I wouldn't call it
Yeah,
a kit. I just have a lot of
got a lot of
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
We should do that.
I'm that prepared guy. So yeah, that'd be a good one.
Well, I have
We can
nothing right now. I have the kit, but I haven't put it in the car. There's so many things in the kit. I wouldn't even know where to. If there was an emergency, it would take me an hour just to go through. It's like a kit with 180 things in it. I wouldn't even know where
yeah.
to start.
You gotta know what you have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's all packed in. I opened it up and the stuff, I'm like, oh, I think there's like a tent in there. I mean, there's everything. There's like a tent that's the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah.
Forget it. I'll never get that tent up.
You just dip it in water and it grows.
Right. That's actually, if you could come up with a tent that actually did that,
That small, that'd be
like,
cool.
like,
Be neat.
yeah, like a sponge tent,
Mhm. I like it. Get on it. Listen, we're copywriting that, people.
a
Don't be
sponge
stealing that.
tent. All right. I like it. So, yeah. So listen, my heart goes out to the family. That's just a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's a terrible
Um,
situation.
and, but I did see, I did not see the video. You said you saw the video of the
Oh,
Neuralink guy.
Neuralink. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to talk about this. It's wild. This is the first time I think they've released any info on the patient themselves. So it's a
Right.
29-year-old quadriplegic. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
He I think like a C3 C4 fluke accident in a diving accident.
Yeah. So,
So like that's really crazy.
uh, good. Fortunately for me, my body is unable to dive. I cannot get into a diving. My brain will not allow me to hit the water head first. Every time I've ever tried to dive, I land in a belly flop.
Interesting.
So
So, you know, you
that
what
hurts.
you just described though is also just an aha moment because I was actually thinking, and I need to go back and look. I think it was a scuba diving
Okay.
accident, which
Scuba diving
I could actually
with the tank,
see diving making more sense
with the
to how
tank.
you could potentially hit your head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like, they didn't go
Scuba
into the
diving.
details. I'm
I thought
fairly certain
you go
it.
down, you don't dive
Yeah,
in scuba.
I gotta look it up now because I in my brain I
Uh-huh.
heard scuba diving, but you might be right. So I'll have to get
It
that
can't be
clarified.
scuba diving. First of all, I would never
Eh,
go
it
scuba. I mean,
could.
that's very claustrophobic. And I just lied to you. There was a period of time where my friend Monique was a diver for Montclair State, and she said, I will teach you how to dive. And she brought me to the pool. I don't know where the pool was. She brought me, and we had a few sessions, and I learned how to dive. I could
Wow.
dive. I could dive. And you do the exercise with you
Yeah.
do this and and then your hands go. There was tricking myself because my hands were kind of going first.
Mm-hmm.
And this is amazing. I remember I could dive now. She said, "Okay, come. I'm working at the snack bar at this pool nearby." So I go to the pool, and she's like, "Why don't you dive off the your newfound superpower? Why don't you dive?" Now, Ribo, this was they had two diving boards, and
Uh-huh.
they had one of them was a high
The
dive.
high, yeah, yeah.
When I was diving, the board was like 2 feet
Over the
away from.
water.
Right. So I didn't think anything of it. I get up to the top of the high dive, and it's like 30 feet. It's so high.
It's a free fall before you
It
hit that
is
water.
it's so high. It's like jumping out of a building that's on fire. It is so high. And I get up there and I'm like, you know what? I'm out. And so I'm already up on the board and I'm like
Yeah.
standing there and I'm like, I'm not doing this.
There's a
There's no
line. There's a
way
line behind you. Everyone's looking
there's
at you.
no way I'm typing. Yeah, there's like 12, like a 12-year-old and 11-year-old kid. They've gone on it
They're
like,
heckling you.
yeah, they've gone on it like 60 times that day. I start to turn back around and all of a sudden I hear the whistle and I look over and
The
there's this
lifeguard.
angry high school girl and she's like, you can't turn around, you have to jump. I'm like, I'm like,
Like, what
so I
kind of
just stand
society
there
is this?
because I was already like trying to, I'm like, come on. I'm like, you're making me jump off of I can't take the ladder down. I
Oh my
have to jump.
God.
Are you kidding me? That's so unsafe. So, so I'm arguing with her. And she's arguing back. She goes, you have to jump. And the whole pool is looking at us.
Oh yeah,
Everyone's
you
looking
they've
at
got
us.
yeah, everyone. You hear
And
that whistle, you start looking.
I'm like in my 20s, like I'm a man, but so I like look, I got like there's like sweat like beating up on my forehead, and I'm like, I don't, what am I gonna do? I have to do this. And I just ran, and at that point I couldn't dive.
Right,
I
you
landed
forgot how to dive at
I
that point.
forgot, and I have not remembered since. I jumped off and I did, it was the loudest, hardest belly flop in the history of belly flops. And I landed
Oh my
so
God.
hard.
I
And
love it.
I remember I came up, I'm like, oh, there was like snot running out of my nose. I'm like coughing, and I like doggy paddled to the side, and I got up and I just walked away. And that was it. I've never dived since then.
The moment
Never.
Jason forgot how to
I
dive.
lost the superpower because I got yelled at by some high school girl who was a stickler for the rules. So
Amazing. All right, so like wait, let's talk about Neuralink because
yes,
that's how this whole fiasco started.
yes.
Uh
So don't dive. I mean, come
don't
on.
all right, so we've covered our
Are you a
life
diver?
tips.
Do you
No, no,
dive?
I'm not. I
Uh, can you dive?
never
Have you
saw
ever
the fun
dived?
in it.
Uh,
Yeah, as a kid I would dive off like friends, you know,
Do you think you could
diving
dive
boards,
now?
but we're sidetracking again. There's an awesome place. If you've ever done any rope courses, zip lines, stuff like that, Camelback has a pretty good course, but they also have a free jump platform. So
Okay.
it's the same concept, but not water. It's an airbag, and
Okay.
instead of diving, you actually are supposed to kind of bring your legs up, and then your back is parallel to the ground. So they
Oh,
start you on a low platform, and they make you do that to show that you've got that body control. Otherwise, they won't let you jump from the top one because they don't
yeah.
want you coming down on your feet.
Right.
And
Oh,
I remember going like, I don't feel like I really got that far. And like we actually have pictures, and it's like if I was vertical coming off, I maybe got like that. And they let me do the high one. And I remember coming off the high one going like I got as
you have
far
to
as I could.
land in sitting position.
They want you to land, yeah, more or less on your back.
Wow.
They don't want your legs coming down because God forbid you come down real hard, I guess, in the
Oh, so
airbag, you could break your
right.
legs.
So you just want to be you just need to be on your back. You don't have to be like sitting.
No, no, yeah. And
Okay.
I did fine. I didn't break anything, but
Was it fun?
it's exhilarating, but I've learned that day that yeah, I don't really have much control of my body like I
And
thought I
how
would.
right, and
The
how
high
high is that?
one, I think it's like 30 and 60 or 30 and
Oh, that's
75.
high.
I'd have to look it
Yeah,
up again. It's
it's pretty
been
high.
6 or 7 years, but yeah, it's
That's pretty high.
exhilarating. So
I
I would do that again, but no, I mean I have no interest in diving into water.
I think maybe the most exciting thing I would do is like a a water slide. Like one of those big
Oh
water
yeah.
slides. Those
Oh
like
man,
giant
we have
water
so much to
slides.
talk about on future shows. There's a new rides opening up at like Dorney and Six Flags this summer, so we should talk about some of
Yeah.
them because they're introducing new angles, man.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, yeah.
But I won't go on I like the ride. I do like, what is it? The Talon? The Talon at Dorney. The
At
Talon, Dorney
is that the
Park.
name of it?
I think
The
it's the
Talon?
Talon.
Okay.
The Talon, yeah. I like that one, but the last time I went, I saw it and I'm like, do I really want to do this? This is so fast. It's so fast. And once I did it, I was fine, but it was just it. I'm like, I don't know if I can. I think I'm over the hump. I think it's over
Interesting.
for me. I think it's over.
I do less of them than I used to, but I do still enjoy them a lot.
The coasters, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, that's Dorney's opening up the one that we'll have to spotlight that at some point.
Okay.
But
All
so
right.
so
Back to
Neuralink,
the Neuralink.
the guy they didn't do I wouldn't say they did a full profile on the guy. They let him talk. It was very informal. It's like 9-10 minute video. And they were cutting back and forth to his face and his computer screen. And the whole time he's talking, he's actually playing chess with his mind on the computer. And he talks about, it got easier as time went on. They're trying new things almost daily, and he's loving it. It's really a life changing tool for him.
Right.
Uh, but they did not focus a lot on the technology. They did not focus a lot on how he's doing it. But it was pretty wild when they were cutting to the screen, reminding myself, wait, he's actually doing this right now. Like
Right.
it's almost like he's watching a
With
video because he can't move his arms. He's not using his mouth for anything on the chair he's in. So it was pretty neat to see that this is actually a viable thing that's working and progressing really well, changing this guy's life.
right. And so I had so I didn't realize I read the article. I didn't realize he was paraplegic until or
Quad,
quadriplegic.
yeah.
I didn't realize because I remember reading it and it's like, oh, he's playing chess with his mind. And I'm like, I'm fine with playing chess with my with just on my phone. Like I don't need to
Hmm.
control things with my mind.
You
Because
take for granted what you got.
right, so you should be so and then I was like, oh, that makes sense. That is fantastic. But
Hmm.
to just get this so that you can move stuff with your mind, um, I don't know. And then the thing is, once you're doing that, that's all what is that working through? Bluetooth, Wi-Fi? How is that working?
That's the thing. They didn't talk about any of that, and
Yeah.
I'm sure some of that info may be out there, but yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
somebody could hack into
It's an
your
interesting angle
and the
to
other
contemplate.
thing, there were two there were so I have the article here. The thing is, yeah, it didn't mention that he was oh, I guess it did. I guess when I had heard about it, I just didn't know that he was paralyzed. But the other thing is it's got a battery. When that battery wears out, they got to replace it.
Mm.
So that's not going to last forever. It just
Listen,
says a
it's an early tool.
it just says a diving accident.
Okay, it does just say diving. Okay, I'm
It
glad
just
you have
says
that in front of you.
diving.
All right,
Yeah.
so
And then the other thing that was weird though, I found this so strange because he's like, it's crazy. It really is. It's so cool. I'm so lucky to be a part of this. Every day we're learning new stuff.
hmm.
And then I can lie in bed and play to my heart's content. He said, at least until the battery of his rechargeable chip dies. So I don't know. Maybe they can recharge it
Hmm.
through his
I
head.
mean, think about it. We've got that technology already, right? So it could be a magnet that even goes on. So maybe
Right.
it's not even a lifetime long term. It could be, a daily, multi-day, whatever, and then just charge. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it wasn't clear. Um, the other thing that was so the last paragraph, um, like he's like this, it hasn't come without its challenges without
Of
elaborating. But
course.
this is what he said. It's not perfect. I would say that we have run into some issues. I don't want people to think this is the end of the journey, but there is a lot of work to be done. Um, so he doesn't talk about any of the issues. So I'm interested to know what issues he's run into and why
Yeah, I'd be
wouldn't they
curious to see if
tell?
they follow him a little more now that they seem to be, on a path for his training, his journey. Maybe they'll start spotlighting him a little more because everyone I think is very interested, and there's a lot of companies out there that are doing a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is cool. I just don't know. I mean, I guess if you could be hands-free for some things, but it would all be computer stuff. So I
Hmm.
don't know.
And
I'm
listen,
still,
it's the lens of what you need it for. I agree. I think for able-bodied individuals, I don't see the use for it. and I would hope they're not pursuing that. Their
Right.
head seems to be in the right place, no pun intended. They're looking for people in, the right
Disabled and
populations.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's a game
which is
changer.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
to me that's worth it.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. Um, I, did you have any, I do have a couple of life tips
Yeah,
that I
hit me
wanted
with
to.
them. I think mine for the week is definitely going to be buy one of those seatbelt and glass breakers for your car.
Yes,
You've
yes.
you've you've
And
highlighted an important use of them.
but you also have to there's a way to get out of the car. You can't just have that
Yes.
thing and think you'll be able to get out. You've got to do something. There's some way to get out because that water is going to start pouring in. I don't know what the way is, but there is a protocol to get out. So look that up. Maybe we can find it and
Yeah.
provide it.
Car safety. We'll do it.
Yeah. So um yeah, so I there's sort of two sides of the same coin. Um, and they both require practice. And maybe some people don't need these, but there's going to be some people that will need to hear this. And um, basically, I think that you should actively practice not doing things you want to do. So, what do I mean by this?
What do you mean by this?
I think you should be, and this is tough for me. I think you should be your default state should be a state of no. That should be the default.
A
No, do
state
you
of
want,
no, not a state of nothing. So, all right, keep going.
I
I'm
mean,
piecing it together.
I mean, the state of nothing can help you get there, but that's a whole different conversation. But a state of no. So basically, when somebody asks you if you want dessert, you may want dessert, but you should say no first, and then that gives you choice. Now you've
Okay.
got a choice instead of just being yes. Instead of there being an automatic yes, you start with no, and then
Lead with no.
that
Okay.
builds that muscle. And like today, like I've been putting off drinking my coffee. Normally, I would have it in the morning, first thing in the morning. I've been putting it off until I get back from dropping my daughter off at daycare. And that starts to build up the muscle. I feel like if I just even skipped a cup of coffee, I'd be fine because I've put it
Right.
off long enough that I don't that urge is no longer there. And that gives you great power. So that you're not like just at the victim of your impulses. Um, and a lot of people they have impulses that might be eating candy or
Yep. We all do.
whatever. Um, so that's the number one thing is practice putting off what you want to do.
Okay.
And then because that gives you more a lot of life is being the adult and not doing things that you shouldn't be doing. Um, so that brings me to my next thing. A lot of life is also doing things that you don't want to do. So this is the opposite.
Okay.
Instead of not doing something you want to do, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do. And I heard this tip not long ago, and I've been practicing it. Only do things when you don't feel like doing them.
Cool.
Should only
Which is
do
the which
things.
is the toughest thing to do, honestly.
You should only do things when you don't feel like doing them. And then what happens is that feeling of not wanting to do something, that becomes the feeling of wanting to do something.
I mean, I guess that one's a believing is seeing moment. I don't know. That one's a little tougher
Because
to
you start to
swallow.
condition yourself. I'm doing it, and you start to condition yourself. After a while, you're like, oh, like I want to not feel like it's like a challenge. It becomes like you become like that's what discipline is. Doing something even though you don't feel like doing it.
Hmm.
And then you don't feel like doing it, but that feeling gets flipped because now you want that feeling. You only do stuff when you have that feeling. And then that becomes the feeling. Now it's no longer, you no longer not, you can't not feel that you want to do something, because when you have that feeling, you'll do it. That's the only time you do things. You
It's an
flip it,
interesting concept. I'm gonna look for something this week and try and do
try it.
that.
You
I actually already do the first one quite a bit. I'm actually known as the no guy, but
okay. You're putting things off, that you're
yeah, and you
delaying
did you nailed it with the
gratification,
candy though.
delaying
They
gratification.
we instated a rule in our house that no candy before 5 p.m. And that may sound really ridiculous to some people, but if you knew how much candy we consumed at one
Right.
point in this house, you'd understand. And just gradually getting to that point, sign on the door, it
It
my
works.
wife will tell you, yeah, it really is helped. And then, you have less cravings for it. You consume less of it as a whole, like
Right.
all positive. So it is I
Can
like that one.
can you go, well, if you can't go 30 days without doing something, I believe you have a problem. Can you go
Oh,
30 days without eating
I
candy?
would be classified as a lot of problems. Candy would be a hard one.
Yeah, I think the only thing I couldn't go is coffee. I took a week off, and that was fine. I should have kept going. But I treated myself, but I should have kept going. Coffee, I think, has the biggest impact because I really do sleep like my sleep is so much deeper and so much better when I'm not drinking coffee.
Okay.
So, but I love getting up in the morning and that cup of coffee and getting into work. But you know what? I got some good teas that actually are pretty good at replacing it with no caffeine in them.
Okay.
They taste
Caffeine
really
free,
good.
decaf. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, try that out. Let me know how
Yeah.
you make out. Don't do what you want to do when you want to do it. Put that off. Practice that. Listen, the whole point being an effective human being is having control at all times of what you're doing. If you can do that, you can pretty much do anything, I believe. It's controlling. You don't want to do things that are destructive or harmful, like eating candy or smoking cigarettes or drinking or whatever, drinking anything that's detracting from your
Hmm.
health, your mental health, or your physical health. You want to be able to control that. Of course, you can do things occasionally, but if you can't control it, if it's something you can't do, you have to do you can't go 30 days without it, forget it. So, if you're if you feel the need to walk your dog without a leash, try to go 30 days with walking your dog on a leash and see what happens. If you're leaving your house unarmed, go 30 days with pepper spray in your pocket. See how that works out.
It's life changing.
If you're a billionaire and you're used to leaving the house and doing things, even if you're a millionaire, I would say, even if you're, I would say just everybody stay home. Everybody's out now that the pandemic's over. I think we need to enjoy that a little more. But I will talk more about that in Armchair Thrills. American Riviera Armchair Thrills is my lifestyle uh brand, coming soon this summer. Coming, the greatest
I'm waiting with
lifestyle
bated breath here.
brand. Gwyneth Paltrow and Meghan Markle, they're in big trouble. They should be retiring now. They should be making retirement plans now.
Make way for Jason Messina, everybody.
This will be the greatest lifestyle blog that has ever been. Wait till you see, wait till you see what I have planned.
I
You're
love it.
not even, I was talking about this to somebody else the other day, and they couldn't even believe it. The things that I've got planned. So it's coming. It's coming. Enjoy your life without leaving the house. Just let the dog out in the backyard. You don't have to worry about the leash. Okay.
I love it.
That's it, my friend. We
Yeah.
will talk next week. I want an inventory of what you got in your car. I want to know what I should be packing up in my car. I will try not to go too far in the car till after we talk so that I'm prepared. And maybe I'll come with my my emergency kit and we
You
can
show and
pull
tell.
through
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I'll never be able to get the stuff back. And that was the problem. I couldn't get the stuff back. I started having problems packing the bag back up. And so I said, forget this. And so it's sitting in my closet. So, and the last bit, I have a note on my phone to get the thing that smashes the window, but I also have a note to get a walking stick that can turn into a weapon. And this is all one note, and a fire ladder. You
Oh
want a
yeah.
ladder that
You
you
got
can use to
you
get
got
out
two,
of
three
a,
stories in your house?
yeah, we're a second story
Yeah.
bedrooms.
Yeah.
So if the bottom floor has gone to hell, we need a fire ladder to get out. So anyway, but I have a lot of contingencies, so that would,
Hopefully not be needed.
yeah, there's a lot of contingencies that we would be alerted way before anything like that happens. So anyway, that's what I got, my friends. Thank you
Love it.
so much. We will catch up very soon and go in peace.